Coming up now in your spoiler-free wrestling news rundown, the lawyer representing Janelle Grant told media today that her inbox is flooded with people willing to attest to a culture of corruption at WWE. We've also got an injury update on Wardlow, who appeared to injure his knee on AEW Dynamite this week, and Shawn Michaels met with the media to promote this weekend's Vengeance Day. All that and more coming up now. The big news today concerning Vince McMahon is that Janelle Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, appeared on Morning in America today and spoke about other possible victims coming forward. She said that her office is frankly overwhelmed with the amount of people that have contacted them willing to attest to a, quote, culture of corruption that exists in WWE. So up on your screen now, this is the article from News Nation Now with quotes from Ann Callis's appearance on Morning in America. Callis said, "It's been a long process, and Grant wants to speak out for any other victims and eradicate this culture of corruption that has permeated every cell of the WWE," Grant's attorney Ann Callis told News Nation's Marky Martin. Marky Martin, great name. Later in the interview, Callis said, "My office and my inbox have had a barrage of people wanting to come forward to attest about this culture of corruption and also possible victims. We are just beginning now to wade through all of this, but we're frankly overwhelmed." It was also pointed out by someone recently that when these hush money payments that Vince McMahon had made to multiple people throughout the years, there was one victim that was paid over $7 million in hush money payments. That is in contrast to Janelle Grant, who received $1 million of a promised $3 million of hush money payments. So what happened with that $7 million hush money payment is a question some people are now asking. So Grant's attorney continued, "Grant wants justice because she wants to change the culture that is going on in the WWE. She wants to help other victims. She thinks by speaking out and coming forward first that others will feel emboldened and encouraged to come forth." And so according to Ann Callis, many other possible victims or those willing to attest to a culture of corruption have contacted her office. So we'll see what comes from that. Now, there was also a press event held by Netflix on Wednesday where the chief content officer, Bella Bajaria, had a rather blunt response to a question about Vince McMahon. So, of course, Netflix announced this huge $10 billion deal to bring WWE content to the streaming service. And then a few days later, this lawsuit against Vince McMahon is filed. So, when asked about Vince McMahon during this press event on Wednesday, but Bajaria said he's gone. So he's not there. He's gone. That was her entire response. So definitely different talking points from Netflix and from WWE. We saw Triple H would kind of direct the conversation to about how well the company is doing in certain business areas, and talking about how they're just finding out this information at the same time as everybody else. Well, those talking points are a lot different from Netflix's talking point, which appears to be just, well, that guy's gone. Shawn Michaels also briefly addressed the allegations against Vince McMahon during today's media call to promote NXT Vengeance Day, which of course is on Sunday. So Michaels, he was hesitant to answer any questions and sort of danced around them quite a bit, but he did provide some answers. And up on your screen now is a quote as transcribed by Fightful that Michael said regarding the allegations against McMahon. So Michael said, "It's an incredibly sad situation. As everyone knows, I have very little and absolutely nothing to do, and gladly so, with the corporate stuff that goes on. We try to focus here in NXT on the men and women that come through these doors, and we do. I think we foster a safe and supportive atmosphere down here. I know that they reinstalled and upgraded, I think in 2022, some of those regulations and whatnot. But look, we're always conscious about that. And one thing that I do, it's incredibly important to support the talent and give them a safe working environment. I'd like to think that we do that. Absolutely. But look, we will always continue to try and be better about that. And I'm very glad to say that I think we do a really fantastic job down here. So we will keep you up to date on more stories regarding this latest lawsuit filed against Vince McMahon in future videos. There is an injury update available on Wardlow after he appeared to suffer a knee injury in his match against Commander on Dynamite last night. So near the end of the match, Wardlow has Commander up for one of his signature power bombs, but he ends up hitting the move rather awkwardly, and his knee looked like it buckled at the time. And Taz on commentary also mentioned that he felt pretty strongly that Wardlow just suffered a knee injury. So Wardlow actually took to social media after Dynamite to say that his knee is fine. He said a normal's knee would be ruined. I'm no normal man. I'm still coming for the heavyweight title, and there's nothing and no one that can stop me. Knee is just fine. However, there are some that believe his knee might not be fine. And this was addressed on Wrestling Observer Radio by Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer last night. And Brian Alvarez said, Wardlow says he's fine. I have been told that it's not fine. And Alvarez continued to say that what I was told was that he's getting checked out tomorrow. They think it's possibly a torn meniscus, but that he dodged a bullet and it wasn't much worse, and he'll probably be all right, but he definitely is not fine. So we'll just have to see what happens with Wardlow moving forward. It does appear as though Wardlow is gunning for Samoa Joe and the AEW World title, so they definitely seem to have plans for him. So hopefully he's all right. This is definitely not the most important bit of news in this video, but Matthew and Nicholas Jackson have been really into their new characters in AEW, where they're taking their EVP roles seriously. Well, it also appears that Brandon Cutler, their longtime ally, might be moving into a role with the media. It appears he's been sending out different scoops that he's heard about backstage AEW news on Twitter, or X, as I guess it's now called. So up on your screen now, this is what Brandon wrote about some rumors concerning Darby Allin backstage. I mean, we saw the Young Bucks and Darby Allin have a bit of an altercation there on the show. So Brandon Cutler writes, sources are saying that Darby Allin has heat within the AEW office due to a lack of professionalism and communication problems. One reliable source noted that he is late to respond to group text messages and Zoom calls, and also isn't taking potential competition seriously. Also today, Brandon Cutler had another scoop from backstage AEW. He wrote, sources are saying Matthew and Nicholas are handing out fines backstage today. The locker room is embracing this new stern policy. One source noted, it feels good to take a little accountability. So, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson really leaning in to their new gimmicks. And also during today's NXT media call with Shawn Michaels, Michaels was asked by House of Wrestling's Nick Hossman about recent allegations that Brutus Beefcake made about him and Marty Jannetty. Beefcake alleged that the Rockers used the date rape drug Halcyon on women before taking advantage of them. I'm not really familiar with this interview by Brutus Beefcake, nor did I want to take the time to look into it. So this was Michael's response to Nick Hossman about Brutus Beefcake's allegations. Michael said, look, I will say this, as I've never, shied away from the stupid stuff I did in the past. If you go back and ask Brutus Beefcake, he'll tell you, one, never seen any of that actually happen. Again, wrestling stories. He's also retracted it after saying it. I can say this. I've had a lot of struggles in my life, and I don't know how to say this without sounding, shameful, but being with a lady was not something Shawn Michaels had a difficult time doing. I've never been in a situation where that I've never been in a situation where that was not consensual or in any way, shape, or form. I've never taken advantage of someone in that respect. Those things are done for two reasons, and I've had a lot of counseling in my lifetime. And the reason you do that stuff is because you dislike women or you have power issues. Shawn Michaels did not have those. He had insecurity issues, and he had problems feeling like he wasn't enough. That's why you go to drugs and downers. The other stuff is built on power and disrespect for women, which is something I've never had. So any accusations against me as far as non-consensual time with a woman simply are not true. And that's why they've never come up in anything other than, and I don't mean it to be mean to you guys, but it's never come up in anything other than wrestling stories. And I don't know what to say. Back in the day, it was dirt sheets. And those things start from guys spinning a lot of stories that were not true. And TNA Impact is back on the air tonight on Access TV as they head on the road to No Surrender. So the matches for this show were taped a couple of weeks ago in Orlando. Here's what's on tonight. What's on tap for tonight's episode. We've got match one of the three-match series between the Grizzled Young Veterans and Ace Austin and Chris Bay. That should be good. They don't really say what she's doing, but fresh off her appearance in the Royal Rumble, Jordynne Grace will be on tonight's show. What did they say? We will relive the history-making weekend for TNA Knockouts World Champion Jordynne Grace. So I actually wonder if they will be able to show footage of Grace in the Royal Rumble on tonight's show. That would be interesting. We'll also see Nick Nemeth, the most wanted man. He's going to be in action tonight against Trey Miguel. And also tonight, we will have an episode of Soundcheck hosted by Alan Angels with a special guest, Josh Alexander. We'll also see Brian Myers versus Kevin Knight tonight. And this should be a good one. Masha Slamovich going one-on-one with Jody Threat. The new Knockouts Women's Tag Team Champions, Decay, will be in action. No word on their opponents. We'll also hear from Frankie Kazarian on tonight's show. All that coming up tonight on Access TV. That's going to do it for this video, everyone. Make sure you subscribe, click the like button, and the notifications bell, and we will see you again next video.